SCP-3783, aka Baba Yaga's Cottage. Object Class Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. Provisional Site-78 has been established to contain SCP-3783. The facility is to operate under the guise of a wildlife research facility. SCP-3783 is kept in an observation dome with an airlock chamber installed and is to be constantly monitored. No open flame is to brought within the dome. Automated drones are to be used directly to approach SCP-3783. SCP-3783 is implanted with a GPS tracker that is monitored by automated systems. Update. All testing has been suspended. SCP-3783-1 instances are found to be incinerated. A 7-meter wall has been erected around Provincial Site 78. Security teams will be on guard outside with net launchers, which are to be used to angle SCP-3783's legs. Torches are to be activated on the walls during a breach. See Incident 3783 for further details. Description: SCP-3783 is a single-room log cabin that is located in the wilderness of Siberia. Inside it is decorated with furs. Has one rocking chair, a fireplace, a wardrobe, a chest, and a cauldron. It has 2 windows on the sides and a single wooden door allowing for entry. Beneath SCP-3783, there are 4 fleshy limbs. It was located at the corners that terminate in 3 spindly clawed fingers, which resemble the toes of a domestic chicken. These limbs allow for locomotion. It is estimated that each limb is 6 meters long and bent at 3 places. These limbs are mostly rooted beneath the surrounding soil, stationing SCP-3783 at its location. See discovery for further information. The limbs remain dormant until hostile action is presented toward SCP-3783 directly. A limb that would burst from the ground and grab a subject, which pulls towards the inside of SCP-3783 or crush them. This response is instantly triggered when one is wielding a torch or any form of open flame. Since the construction of Provisional Site 78, SCP-3783 will at times unroot itself and wander its containment briefly. After investigating its surroundings, it will return to its original position. Any biological organisms, except for microbial entering SCP-3783, will undergo various mutations. The resulting specimens are designated as SCP-3783-1 instances. This was a short lifespan of a week, and sometimes are inflicted with lethal mutations, resulting in instant death. Instances are mainly docile, and it would protect SCP-3783 in event of any hostilities. Deceased organisms do not undergo any mutations within SCP-3783. See Addendum 02 for -1 instances producing from testing. Recently, it has been discovered that deceased -1 instances are able to reanimate via unknown means as long as the body is sufficiently intact. Incineration has shown to be effective in in preventing an reanimated an instance. See Incident 3783. Discovery. SCP-3783 was discovered after reports from several towns in southern Russia of a lost witch's house wandering the wilderness. One town had sent a small armed group to hunt for it, but only one member of the party returned. A Mr. Grigory Ivanov, see Addendum 01. Nearby recovery teams responded and eventually traced SCP-3783 to its location, routing itself. It was found with the following sign, which was tied to a nail on the door, though, that is written in Old Russian. Out to feast, stay out. Addendum 01. The following interview was originally spoken in Russian and has been translated. Begin log. Alright, please tell me what happened when you went into the forest. Sigh. Well, it was getting dark, and we're heading east to where it was last seen. We found its tracks and followed them. Eventually, we caught our first glimpse of its silhouette from moonlight. What was it doing? It was just moving slowly through the trees before disappearing into the night. We quickly tried to pursue it, but we lost it. That's when we decided to camp him until sunrise. I tried to sleep by it, but I was too worried. Even with my trusting hunting rifle on my side, I never thought I would ever get to see a witch's house, so it left me spooked. Anyway, we then started hearing the most unusual sounds from the surrounding woods. Can you describe it? I am not sure how to describe it. It sounded like nothing I ever heard before. Very well. Continue, please. One of the men of the group, Roman, went in to investigate the sounds despite our objections. That young fool. What happened? He screamed, and when we caught up, we found nothing except for his broken glasses and shreds of his jacket. He had covered in blood. We stuck together after that and returned to the camp to pack up and move forward. We heard the sound of snapping in twigs and crushed leaves. He followed us behind, unknowingly, as we quickly tried to flee. 2 young men were missing. We were baffled and decided to hunt whatever was lurking in the surrounding darkness. We wondered ourselves if it was the work of the witch's hut, but who knew? I followed behind the group as we went and we were tense. I just wanted to go home. Eventually, we stumbled upon a mangled corpse that was being eaten by something nearby a lake. Our lanterns barely show. Oh, that's what it looks like. But I was blocked by the group. I'm somewhat glad I haven't seen it for the sound of its chewing was disgusting. We quickly moved outside as ahead we saw the hut step forth from a row of trees as the moon was behind it, casting a silhouette of it. Then I assume your party attacked it? Yes. Vladimir and Dmitri ran into it with their torches to burn it. It noticed the helmet moved back as silhouettes of creatures came to be. The things attacked Vladimir and Dmitri, and I had a small glimpse of them from their torches. It was not enough to tell of any distinct features, but they were near as large as dogs. Lesky fight His agent at the creature urged to help Vladimir and Dmitri. He managed to save Dmitri, but Vladimir was dragged away. I couldn't hear him scream as the HUD quickly grabbed him and slammed his body on a large rock. Then it pressed on his body, and there were awful cracking sounds. I could barely see it happening, but it was not enough to traumatize me. Such awful sounds. Then, that is when I ran. Lesky, he and two other men tried to fight the beasts, but I heard only their screams and gunshots. I ran and ran without rest back towards home. I was accompanied by another young man who I never had the pleasure of knowing his name. Luckily, the sun was soon to rise. I was eager to be home, away from the danger. I wish I can say the same thing for the young man who was with me. He just disappeared, and I had not noticed. I became concerned that I was being stalked and grew paranoid. I'm glad I managed to find my way out of the forest before I went insane. Pauses. Sigh. We were no match for the witch's lost hut. I wish we knew better. Thank you, Mr. Ivanov. Everything will be fine. End log. Close statement. Mr. Ivanov received amnestics in the SCP 3783-1 instance bench and has not been found. Addendum 02. For a full version of all experiments, please request it from lead researcher Westfield. Experiment log 3783. Specimen, common house cat. Result, specimen was continuously coughing. Eyes became completely black. All of its body, the hair fell and grew slightly in size by 2.2 meters. The end of its tail grew a poisonous stinger, which connected to 4 venomous sacs within the torso. The skeletal structure of the specimen became cartilaginous and resembled that of a shark. Time elapsed 13 seconds. Specimen, common goldfish. Result, the specimen grew additional eyes along its side as it grew 22 centimeters in length. The pupils were hexagonal in shape. Its fins grew larger and twisted to form a makeshift limb to crawl out of water. Instance was unable to breathe and expired. An underdeveloped labyrinth organ. It was found during autopsy, covered in a tumor-like growths. Time elapsed 17 seconds. Specimen, albino laboratory rat. Results, the skeleton of the specimen expanded through the skin, forming a rough exoskeleton around the specimen's body. The specimen grew 1 meter larger and the eyes extended from the skull on things than stalks. A pair of insect mandibles grew from the mouth as the tongue extended to 30 centimeters in length and became serrated. Instance violently slammed its head on the floor of the cage it was in and bled to death as shortly afterwards. Time elapsed 12 seconds. Specimen, domestic dog. The specimen began to howl in pain and its neck began to extend. Then large tusks began to protrude from its mouth. Stomach was found to have formed ulcers. Time elapsed 15 seconds. Specimen European rabbit. Specimen immediately expired and had no visible mutations. Blood was found to be a black color and the heart decreased size by 7 centimeters. Time lapse 2 seconds. Specimen D1832. Result: subjects complained of stomach pain before long thin strands of hair began to be produced from their mouth. Teeth and nails fell out as the arms and legs grew grotesquely disproportionate. The hair was covered in an unknown enzyme that could corrode the flesh and move on its own accord. Time elapsed 13 seconds. Specimen D7899. Alright, result: transform into an organism resembling a featherless chicken. Its skin was dark red and brown color and had a wattle. The explosive color was immediately detonated which decapitated the specimen. The head was mostly intact and the body died shortly after. Time elapsed 20 seconds. Incident 3783. On July 12th, SCP 3783-1 instances in cryogenic storage at Site 887 were missing. The latches of the cryogenic preservation tanks showed no signs of tampering. 2 hours later, at Provisional Site 78, several -1 instances were visible on the monitors surrounding SCP-3783 reanimated. Instances that attempted to open the airlock again were neutralized by security teams on nearby catwalks. Meanwhile, Site Redacted was reportedly attacked by reanimated -1 instances, and 2 of which had interacted with SCP-352. The following transcript is from the surveillance footage. Begin log. SCP-352 is sitting at the corner of its containment chamber. After 40 seconds, a vent that leading to the chamber suddenly bursts open, which 2-1 instances crawl out of. Simultaneously, -1 instances were attacking from Gate A at this time. One instance resembled a gastropod, while with 2 arm-like appendages, it quickly moves to the door, and a bulbous sac on its back began to expand and burst, covering the door with a thick mucus. The second instance was feline and resembled a bearded dragon, which moves towards SCP-352. The instance had in its mouth what appears to be a human fetus, which it places on the floor in front of SCP-352. SCP-352 reaches for the fetus and begins to devour it. SCP-352 then pats the instance's head. The instance and SCP-352 appear to briefly converse before SCP-352, who stands and moves towards the instance. SCP-352, who kneels down and appears to whisper to the instance. The instance then nods its head and turns into the vent as SCP-352 stands idly while facing the camera for the remainder of the footage. End log. The SCP-3783-1 instance in the footage was later found at Provisional Site 878 within SCP-3783's chamber. It was found deceased in front of SCP-3783, which buried the incident with a clump of dirt. Following the incident, SCP-3783 has become more active and attempts to escape. In response, security has been upgraded at Provisional Site 78 and Site Redacted.